The emergency lights in the Galactic Council chamber flashed red as Admiral Thexmar stared at the massive holographic display. 3 entire star systems had gone completely silent. No communications, no signals, no signs of life. In his 40 years of service, he had never seen anything like this. "When did we lose contact?" he asked his aide, Lieutenant Kefra. "The Vorthak Empire went silent first, sir." Then 12 hours later, the Zalani Collective stopped responding. The Meridian Republic was the last to go dark just 6 hours ago. Admiral Thexmar felt his 4 hearts beating faster. These weren't small colonies or mining stations. The Vorthak controlled 15 star systems with their crystal technology. The Zalani Collective had billions of minds connected in their hive network. The Meridian Republic possessed the most advanced artificial intelligence in the galaxy. For all 3 to vanish without a trace was impossible. "Have we ruled out technical problems?" the Admiral asked. "Yes, sir. We sent probe ships to the edge of each system. The silence is real. Complete communication blackout from all 3 civilizations." The Admiral walked closer to the display, studying the red zones that marked the silent sectors. "What about the last transmissions? Did they mention any threats?" Lieutenant Kefra pulled up the data files on her tablet. "That's the strange part, sir. All 3 civilizations mentioned the same thing in their final messages. A new species, requesting diplomatic contact." "A new species? From where?" "They called themselves humans, sir. From a planet called Earth, located in what we classify as Sector 7G. The messages describe them as having primitive fusion drives and a small exploration vessel." Admiral Thexmar's mandibles clicked together in confusion. "One ship? One species? That's impossible, Lieutenant. No single race could neutralize 3 major powers simultaneously." "I agree, sir, but the timeline matches perfectly. The humans made contact with the Vorthak first, then moved to Zalani space and finally approached the Meridians. Each civilization went silent within hours of the humans' arrival." The Admiral studied the star charts more carefully. The 3 civilizations were spread across different sectors of the galaxy, each with their own territories and defense systems. The Vorthak were known for their aggressive expansion and powerful crystal weapons. The Zalani Collective could overwhelm enemies. With millions of connected minds working as one, the Meridians had robot fleets that could calculate and counter any attack within seconds. "Show me what we know about these humans," he ordered. A new display appeared, showing a small blue and green planet orbiting a yellow star. "Earth is a Class M planet, sir. The inhabitants are bipedal, carbon-based life forms. They only achieved faster-than-light travel about 50 years ago. Their technology is at least 200 years behind our most basic systems. Population? Approximately 8 billion on their homeworld, sir. Small colonies on a few nearby planets. Total population less than 10 billion. Admiral Thexmar stared at the display in disbelief. 10 billion humans against 3 civilizations. That controlled hundreds of star systems and trillions of beings. The mathematics made no sense. "Sir," Lieutenant Kefra continued, "there's something else." Before going silent, the Meridian Republic sent one final transmission. Just 2 words. "They're coming." "Coming where?" "Unknown, sir." The message cut off immediately after. The Admiral felt a chill run through his scaled skin. In all his years of military service, he had seen wars between species, territorial disputes, and conflicts over resources. But this was different. 3 civilizations had simply vanished after contact with a species that shouldn't have the power to defeat even one of them. "What are your orders, sir?" Lieutenant Kefra asked. Admiral Thexmar considered the options. The Galactic Council needed to know what happened to 3 of its most powerful member civilizations. Were the humans responsible? Had some other threat eliminated both the humans and the 3 civilizations? Or was this all an elaborate trap? "Prepare a reconnaissance fleet," he ordered. 3 heavy cruisers, full sensor arrays, and our best diplomatic team. We're going to find out what happened in those sectors. Sir, what if the humans are hostile? What if they really did neutralize 3 civilizations? The Admiral looked at the display showing Earth, a small planet that had barely begun to explore its own solar system just decades ago. "Then, Lieutenant," We're about to meet the most dangerous species in galactic history. And they did it all while pretending to be primitive explorers. As the Admiral left the chamber to prepare for the mission, he couldn't shake one disturbing thought. If humans could eliminate 3 major civilizations without anyone understanding how, what would they do when a Galactic Council fleet arrived in their territory? Were they about to make first contact with a new species? Or were they walking into the same trap that had claimed billions of lives? The red zones on the display continued to pulse silently, marking the graves of civilizations that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. And somewhere in that darkness, a species called humans was waiting. 3 days earlier, Captain Kim, Junho stood on the bridge of the exploration ship Harmony as it approached the massive Vorthak space station. The crystalline structure glowed with internal light, beautiful but intimidating. It was larger than any building on Earth, floating in space like a deadly jewel. Captain, Communications Officer Park Hee-jin called from her station. "We're receiving a transmission from the Vorthak." "Put it through," Captain Kim replied, straightening his uniform. This was humanity's first contact with an alien civilization. History was being made. The alien voice came through the speakers, cold and harsh, after the translation system processed it. "Unknown vessel, you have entered Vorthak territory without permission. State your purpose immediately." Captain Kim stepped forward, speaking clearly into the communication system. "This is Captain Kim Jun-ho of the Earth vessel Harmony. We come in peace, seeking diplomatic relations between our species." There was a long pause. Then the alien voice returned, even colder than before. "Primitive species, your vessel will be claimed as tribute. Prepare to surrender your ship and crew, or we will destroy you." First Officer Lee Dong-min looked at the captain with raised eyebrows. "Well, that's not exactly the warm welcome we hoped for." On the tactical display, red dots began surrounding their ship. 17 Vorthak vessels moved into attack positions. Each one was 3 times the size of the Harmony. "Captain," Tactical Officer Nam Subin reported, "they're powering up weapons. Energy readings are off the charts." During the 3-month journey to reach this sector, the crew had spent countless hours studying intercepted Vorthak communications. Engineer Choi Min-ho had been particularly interested in their technology, while Dr. Seo Hye-young had analyzed their social behavior patterns. "Hye-jin, open another channel," Captain Kim said calmly. "Let's try reasoning with them." The view screen flickered to life, showing the Vorthak commander. The alien looked like a living crystal sculpture, beautiful but radiating arrogance. Its voice echoed strangely as it spoke. "Your species is weak. You have no weapons, no defenses, no hope. You will serve the Vorthak Empire or die. Choose now." Captain Kim smiled politely. "I appreciate the offer, but we'll have to decline. However, we'd still like to discuss peaceful cooperation." The crystal being's expression showed complete confusion. "You refuse? Impossible. No species refuses the Vorthak. Your death will be swift." "Before you do that," Captain Kim said, still speaking in a friendly tone, "would you like to see our technology? Minho, please give our new friends a demonstration." Engineer. Choi activated what appeared to be a simple mining tool from their equipment bay. The device had been modified during the journey, based on their analysis of Vorthak crystal technology. It produced a sonic pulse, nothing more than sound waves at a specific frequency. The result was immediate and spectacular. The crystalline hulls of the Vorthak ships began to vibrate, then crack. The aliens' entire technology was based on harmonic resonance. The same property that made their crystals so strong also made them vulnerable to the right frequency. Within minutes, all 17 Vorthak warships were floating helplessly in space, their hulls shattered, their crystal-based nervous systems disrupted. The aliens inside were unconscious but alive. As I was saying, Captain Kim continued, speaking to the stunned Vorthak commander whose own ship was now powerless. "We'd really like to discuss peaceful relations." 2 days later, the Harmony approached Zilani Collective Space. The aliens here were different from the Vorthak. Instead of individual crystal beings, the Zilani were a hive mind, Millions of creatures connected by biological networks, thinking as one massive intelligence. Their approach was more subtle than the Vorthak. Instead of demanding tribute, they simply tried to absorb the human ship and crew into their collective consciousness. Biological tendrils reached out from their massive bioships, attempting to connect with the Harmony. "Captain," Dr. CO reported as alien probes touched their hull. "They're trying to add us to their hive mind. I can feel the mental pressure." But Dr. CO had spent the journey studying the collective's weakness. A hive mind was powerful, but it depended entirely on its queen nodes for coordination. Disrupt those connections, and billions of minds would suddenly find themselves alone for the first time. "Can you block their mental intrusion?" Captain Kim asked. "Better than that," Dr. CO replied, working at her console. "I can give them something to think about." Using their communication array, she broadcast a carefully designed interference pattern on the exact frequency the collective used for neural connection. The effect spread through their network like a virus. Across dozens of bioships, queen nodes began losing contact with their drones. The unified hive mind fractured into confused individual consciousness. For the first time in their evolution, millions of Zelani found themselves thinking alone, unable to hear the collective voice that had guided them since birth. The bioships stopped moving, floating aimlessly as their crews struggled to understand individual thought. Finally, the Harmony reached Meridian Republic space, where the most advanced artificial intelligence in the galaxy controlled fleets of robot ships. The Meridians didn't bother with threats or assimilation attempts. They simply tried to destroy the human vessel with overwhelming firepower. But Lieutenant Commander Lee had studied their AI systems during the journey. He recognized the fatal flaw in artificial intelligence. It was too logical, too predictable. "Captain, their targeting computers are calculating our most logical escape routes," he reported as energy beams barely missed their ship. "Then let's be completely illogical," Captain Kim replied with a grin. What followed confused every AI in the Meridian fleet. The Harmony began moving in ways that made no sense to the Meridian artificial intelligence systems. Lieutenant Commander Lee Dong-min had taken control of the ship's navigation, and his flying patterns defied every rule of space combat. Instead of moving away from the enemy ships, the Harmony dove straight toward them. Then it spun sideways, flew in a perfect circle, and suddenly reversed direction while rotating upside down. The ship performed loops, spirals, and impossible turns that would have killed any crew not protected by artificial gravity. "Lee, what are you doing?" Engineer Choi Min-ho called out as the ship performed another impossible maneuver. "Confusing them," Lee replied, grinning as he sent the ship into a backward somersault. "Their AIs are trying to predict our next move based on logic, but there's no logic to what I'm doing." The Meridian robot ships fired energy beams at where their computers calculated the Harmony should be. But Lee's chaotic flight pattern meant the ship was never where it was supposed to be. Energy blasts passed harmlessly through empty space, while the human vessel danced between them. On the Meridian command ship, alarms were blaring. The AI systems were overheating, trying to process flight patterns that made no tactical sense. How could a ship fly directly toward enemy fire and survive? Why would anyone perform a barrel roll in the middle of a battle? What was the strategic purpose of flying backwards while spinning? "Their targeting systems are having problems," Tactical Officer Nam Soo-bin reported. "The AIs are stuck in calculation loops." "Perfect," Captain Kim said. "Now let's give them something really impossible to understand." The Harmony suddenly stopped all movement, floating motionless in space directly between two Meridian battleships. The enemy AIs immediately targeted the stationary ship, preparing to fire from both sides simultaneously. Then, just as the energy beams fired, the Harmony moved straight up at maximum speed. The two Meridian ships accidentally destroyed each other with their own weapons. "Impossible," the Meridian AI commander transmitted. "No organic mind can calculate such precise timing." "You're right," Captain Kim replied cheerfully. "We can't calculate it, we're just making it up as we go." This statement broke the final AI systems. The concept of making it up was beyond their programming. How could a species survive by not planning? How could random actions be more effective? then calculated strategy. Within an hour, the entire Meridian fleet was disabled. Their AIs had shut down rather than continue trying to process human unpredictability. The robot ships floated helplessly in space, their crews alive but completely confused about what had happened. After dealing with the Meridians, Captain Kim called a meeting with his senior officers. They gathered in the ship's small conference room, looking tired but satisfied. "Well," Captain Kim said, "that went better than expected." "Sir," Dr. Seo-Hai Young said, "we've effectively neutralized 3 major civilizations in less than 72 hours. What do we do now?" "The same thing we planned to do from the beginning," Captain Kim replied. "Establish peaceful diplomatic relations." "But sir," Communications Officer Park Hee-jin protested, "they all tried to kill us or enslave us. How can we trust them?" Captain Kim stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the disabled alien ships floating nearby. "Because now they understand something important about humans. We don't start fights, but we definitely finish them." Over the next few hours, the crew of the Harmony began the delicate process of re-establishing communication with the 3 civilizations. The approach was different for each species. For the Vorthak, Captain Kim offered to help repair their crystal technology, but with modifications that would prevent them from using sonic weapons against other species. The proud crystal beings, humbled by their defeat, agreed to learn about diplomatic solutions to territorial disputes. The Zalani Collective presented a more complex challenge. Millions of individual minds were experiencing consciousness for the first time, confused and frightened by the silence in their heads. Dr. Seo worked with their former queen nodes to establish a new form of communication that allowed individual thought while maintaining social cooperation. The Meridian Republic required a complete rebuilding of their AI systems. Engineer Choi helped their programmers understand the concept of creative problem-solving, teaching the artificial intelligences to consider multiple solutions instead of just the most logical one. Throughout this process, Captain Kim maintained the same calm, friendly demeanor he had shown from the beginning. When the Vorthak commander asked why humans had shown mercy instead of conquering them, Kim simply replied, "Because conquest was never our goal. We came here to make friends." "But you defeated us completely," the crystal being said. "You could rule our empire. Why would we want to rule you?" Captain Kim asked. "That sounds like a lot of work. We'd rather have you as allies than subjects." This concept was revolutionary to all 3 species. In their experience, the strong always dominated the weak. The idea that a superior force might choose cooperation over conquest was beyond their understanding. As the Harmony prepared to leave the sector, Captain Kim sent a message to Earth Command, reporting the successful completion of their diplomatic mission. He mentioned the minor misunderstandings with the local civilizations, but assured Earth that all issues had been resolved peacefully. He did not mention that humanity had just announced itself as the galaxy's new dominant species. That would become clear soon enough when the Galactic Council arrived to investigate the silence. The 3 civilizations watched the small human ship depart, forever changed by their encounter with a species that had redefined the meaning of strength. Admiral Thexamar's reconnaissance fleet dropped out of hyperspace expecting to find destruction. 3 heavy cruisers and their escort ships had traveled for days to reach the silent sectors, prepared for the worst possible scenarios. The Admiral had seen the aftermath of galactic wars before. He knew what complete annihilation looked like. Instead, he found something that made no sense at all. The Vorthak battle stations hung in space exactly where they should be, but they were completely powerless. Their beautiful crystal hulls showed cracks and fractures, but the structures were intact. No debris fields, no floating bodies, no signs of massive explosions. The stations looked like they had simply been turned off. Lieutenant Kefra, Admiral Thexmar called to his aide. "What are our sensors showing?" "Sir, the Vorthak are alive, all of them. They're just not moving. Their ships are disabled, but life support is functioning. Population readings match our records from before the silence." The Admiral's 4 hearts beat faster. "Show me the Zalani sector." The display changed to show the collective's bioships. The massive living vessels floated in loose groups, their organic hulls pulsing with slow, confused rhythms. Instead of the tight formations that showed a unified hive mind, the ships drifted separately, like confused animals. "The Zilani are also alive, sir," Lieutenant Kefra reported. "But our sensors detect something strange. Instead of one massive consciousness, we're reading millions of individual minds. It's like the hive mind has been broken apart. And the Meridians?" The third display showed the robot fleets of the Meridian Republic. Hundreds of sleek ships sat in perfect formation, but their engines were cold and their weapons powered down. They looked like toys that had run out of batteries. "All functional, sir, but completely inactive. The AIs appear to be offline, but the organic crews are unharmed." Admiral Thexmar stared at the displays in amazement. 3 civilizations that had controlled vast territories for thousands of years were still there, still alive, but completely neutralized. It was impossible, but the evidence was right in front of him. "Sir," the communications officer interrupted, "we're receiving a transmission from the center of the Vorthak sector." "From the Vorthak?" "No, sir. From the humans." The Admiral felt his scales tingle with anticipation. "Put it through." A cheerful voice filled the bridge, speaking in perfect galactic standard. "Welcome to the Kepler 442 sector. This is Captain Kim Jun-ho of the Earth vessel Harmony. We're so glad you could join us for our little diplomatic mission. Please don't be alarmed by the current state of our new friends. They're just taking some time to adjust to new ways of thinking." Lieutenant Kefra whispered urgently. "Sir, we're detecting the human ship. It's tiny compared to our vessels, but it's positioned perfectly between all 3 disabled civilizations." "Captain Kim," Admiral Thexmar transmitted back. "This is Admiral Thexmar of the Galactic Council. We need to understand what happened here." "Of course, Admiral. I'd be happy to explain. There were some cultural misunderstandings when we first arrived. The Vorthak wanted to make us slaves, the Zilani tried to absorb us into their hive mind, and the Meridians attempted to destroy our ship. But we've worked everything out now. Everyone's much more cooperative." The Admiral looked at his tactical display. The human ship was smaller than his shuttlecraft, with energy readings that barely registered on their sensors. According to the data, it carried no weapons that could threaten even a civilian transport. "Captain, our records show that 3 major civilizations went silent after your arrival. The Galactic Council is concerned about the welfare of billions of sentient beings." "Oh, they're all fine," Captain Kim replied in the same cheerful tone. "Would you like to speak with them? I'm sure they'd love to tell you about their new perspectives on galactic diplomacy." Before the Admiral could respond, 3 new voices joined the transmission. The first was the unmistakable harmonic resonance of a Vorthak crystal being. "Admiral Thexmar, this is Commander Zeftak of the Vorthak Empire. We are learning new approaches to territorial expansion. The humans have shown us alternatives to conquest that we had not considered." The second voice carried the confused uncertainty of a Zilani speaking as an individual. My name is Veltha of the Zilani. I speak for myself now, not for the collective. It is strange, but interesting. We are discovering what it means to think alone." The third voice was the mechanical precision of a Meridian AI. "Admiral, this is Strategic Unit 7 of the Meridian Republic. Our combat algorithms have been updated with new parameters. We are now programmed to consider creative solutions in addition to logical ones. The humans have taught us that efficiency is not always the optimal outcome." Admiral Thexmar felt his mandibles clicking nervously. "Captain Kim, I would like to meet with you personally. Would you be willing to come aboard my ship?" "Of course. Admiral, I always enjoy meeting new species. I'll transport over in a few minutes." While they waited, the Admiral reviewed the tactical data one more time. A single human ship had neutralized 3 civilizations without destroying them. No massive battles, no planet-killing weapons, no genocide. Just adjustment. "Sir, Lieutenant," Kefra said quietly, "how is this possible? Their technology is centuries behind ours." Before the Admiral could answer, the transporter beam activated in their shuttle bay. The human captain had arrived, and Admiral Thexmar was about to meet the most dangerous being in galactic history. The terrifying part was that Captain Kim probably didn't even realize how dangerous he was. Captain Kim Jun-ho walked into Admiral Thexmar's command chamber looking exactly like what he was, a middle-aged human in a simple blue uniform, carrying nothing more threatening than a small data pad. His calm smile and relaxed posture made him seem like a friendly neighbor, not someone who had just changed the balance of power in the galaxy. Admiral Thexmar studied the human carefully. Kim was shorter than most Galactic Council species, with brown hair and dark eyes that seemed to take in everything around him. There was nothing intimidating about his appearance, which somehow made him more unsettling. "Captain Kim," the Admiral began, gesturing to a chair. "Please sit down. We have much to discuss." "Thank you, Admiral," Kim replied, settling into the chair as if he were visiting an old friend. "I hope our arrival hasn't caused too much concern for the Galactic Council. We really did try to keep things peaceful." "Peaceful?" The Admiral's voice carried a note of disbelief. "Captain, 3 major civilizations have been completely neutralized. The Vorthak Empire, the Zalani Collective, and the Meridian Republic no longer exist as independent powers." Kim's expression remained pleasant, but firm. "Oh, they still exist, Admiral. They're just better now. The Vorthak are learning that diplomacy works better than demanding tribute. The Zalani are discovering the benefits of individual thought, and the Meridians are finding out that creativity often beats pure logic." "Without their consent," the Admiral pointed out. "Well," Kim said with a small shrug, "they did try to kill us first. We simply helped them understand that there were better ways to handle disagreements." Lieutenant Kefra leaned forward from her position near the door. "Captain, how did you neutralize 3 civilizations with 1 small ship?" Kim turned to her with genuine interest. "It wasn't really that difficult, Lieutenant. We just paid attention to what made each species work, then helped them see things differently. The Vorthak were proud but brittle. The Zalani were unified but fragile. The Meridians were logical but inflexible. Every strength has a corresponding weakness." Admiral Thexmar felt a chill run through his scales. "And now they're under human control." "Control is such an ugly word," Kim replied, his tone still friendly. "I prefer to think of it as guidance. The Vorthak are learning peaceful negotiation. The Zalani are exploring individual creativity. The Meridians are developing flexible thinking. They're all becoming better versions of themselves." The Admiral activated a holographic display showing the 3 sectors. "Captain, these civilizations controlled hundreds of star systems. Trillions of beings lived under their rule. The Galactic Council needs to know what humanity intends to do with this power." Kim studied the display thoughtfully. "The same thing we've always intended, Admiral. We want peace, cooperation, and mutual understanding. These 3 species will continue to govern their territories, but they'll do it more reasonably now. No more tribute demands, no more forced assimilation, no more robot armies solving problems with violence." "And if they refuse to cooperate?" Kim's smile never wavered, but something in his eyes grew harder. "They won't refuse, Admiral. They've learned that cooperation is much more pleasant than the alternatives." Lieutenant Kefra exchanged glances with her superior. "Captain, the Galactic Council has maintained peace for over 1,000 years through negotiation and compromise. We've never seen anything like what you've accomplished. That's because you've been trying to manage the symptoms instead of curing the disease," Kim explained. "The Vorthak, Zalani, and Meridians were problems waiting to happen. They were expanding, conquering and destabilizing entire sectors. We just helped them find better hobbies." Admiral Thexmar leaned back in his chair, processing what he was hearing. "Captain, are you saying that humanity intends to reform other aggressive species?" "Only if they're causing trouble," Kim replied cheerfully. "We've identified several other sectors that might benefit from our diplomatic approach. The Galactic Council's support would be appreciated, but it's not really necessary." The Admiral felt his foreheart skip a beat. "Other sectors?" Kim pulled up information on his data pad. "The Corvan hegemony has been enslaving primitive species for decades. The Thrakari warlords are constantly raiding peaceful colonies. The Nexus Syndicate controls trade routes through intimidation and violence. All of them could use some guidance toward more cooperative behavior." "Captain, the Admiral said carefully. The Galactic Council has been trying to address these issues through diplomatic channels for years. And how's that working out? Kim asked with genuine curiosity. Are the Corvins freeing their slaves? Are the Thrakari stopping their raids? Is the Nexus Syndicate sharing trade routes fairly? The Admiral's silence was answer enough. Kim stood up, smoothing his uniform. Admiral, humanity isn't interested in ruling the galaxy. That sounds like far too much work. But we're also not interested in watching bullies terrorize peaceful species when we can do something about it. What exactly are you proposing? Partnership, Kim said simply. The Galactic Council continues to handle normal diplomatic relations. Humanity deals with the species that refuse to play nicely. Everyone wins except the bullies. Admiral Thexmar realized he was looking at the future of galactic civilization. Humanity hadn't conquered anyone, but they had made themselves indispensable. They were offering to solve problems that the Council had struggled with for centuries. We'll need to discuss this with the full Council, the Admiral said finally. Of course, Kim replied, heading toward the door. Take all the time you need. We'll be in the sector, making sure our new friends stay on their best behavior. As Captain Quer. Kim left the chamber. Admiral Thexmar stared at the display showing the transformed civilizations. Humanity had become the galaxy's apex species not through conquest, but through an absolute mastery of conflict resolution that made traditional warfare obsolete. The age of human dominance had begun with a simple request for peace. And somehow, that was the most terrifying thing of all.